Hi, Paul Slackus, Good News Broadcast, speaking to Paddy Haverson. Hi, Paddy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Paul.
Great to speak with you. Paddy is the Prince of Wales Communications Secretary, and we're going to talk about the Princes Rainforests Project, launching a Rainforest SOS. Okay. Thank you for doing this, and you're teaming up with a lot of leading organizations, well-known faces. I know Sting's involved. So tell us what's going on.
Well, basically, the Prince set up his Rainforest Project 2 years ago to help find a solution to end deforestation. And this is primarily because deforestation, the destruction of the rainforest, is a huge contributor to global warming and climate change, because when the rainforests are destroyed, they're usually burned, and when the trees are burned, they release all the carbon they've stored into the atmosphere. So much so that actually deforestation emits more carbon in a year than the entire United States emits. I mean, it's absolutely enormous. It's one of the biggest causes of global warming. So he set up this project to try and find a solution to ending deforestation. As part of that campaign, he's recently launched the Rainforest SOS Campaign, which is really about public awareness. And it's simply asking people to join us in sending a Rainforest SOS to the world. And you're right, you mentioned Sting, and that famous police song, Message in the Bottle, has that chorus, sending out an SOS. So Sting has joined forces with the Prince to send out this SOS, and we're asking people to get onto our website, rainforestsos.org, join the campaign and send this SOS out to the world that we've got to end deforestation.
I think it's marvelous. Okay, I have it's rainforestsos.org is the website, and then Sting is on there, and I had mentioned to Paddy earlier that Sting's been on Good News for about 10 years, and his rainforest outreach, he's definitely taken that one on as a passion, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the Prince has been campaigning to save the environment for decades, 40 years really, all his life, but this is probably the most passionate thing in his life at the moment, is trying to find a solution to deforestation, because it's so important to us all. I mean, people don't realise not only do the rainforests store all the carbon that's released, but they provide a lot of the rainfall that we all rely on. They cool the planet. They're like an air conditioning system. They're home to half the world's species. 25% of modern medicines originate in the rainforests. So these rainforests are absolutely essential global utilities to keep the world and keep ourselves alive, and we're destroying them, and we've got to stop it.
I agree. We have a story up right now in Rainforest Alliance, another organization, about Indonesia. A lot of concerns there in that regard now, and there's a lot of concerns everywhere. Actually, though, there's an international climate change meeting, right, by the UN in Copenhagen this December, right?
That's right, yeah. The United Nations Climate Change Summit is December the 14th in Copenhagen. And in a way, that's one of the senses of urgency that the Rainforest SOS campaign is trying to get across, is to get people to show they care and that they want to end deforestation, so that the decision makers are all gathering in Copenhagen can ensure that deforestation is on the agenda, and in fact measures are agreed at Copenhagen to do something about tackling deforestation, because if it's not on the agenda, they're not going to be able to take the measures that ultimately stop the deforestation, which ultimately will keep us alive.
Paddy, if someone goes to the website and that they sign up, what's the next step? What's going to happen?
Well, basically, I mean, it's very simple. By signing up, you're joining essentially this huge global campaign. So everyone who signs up, your message will ensure your message gets through in time for Copenhagen to all the decision makers. So, because anyone who knows how the world works, if politicians and decision makers don't realise that people care about something, they often ignore it. So we've got to get basically together to send a message that we care about the rainforest and we want to protect it. Also, if you get online, you can share a lot of information with your friends. Let's use the power of social networking. You can learn a lot more about it, and awareness is so important. I think this is one of the key issues, is that people don't realise this crucial link between deforestation and climate change. And a lot of the experts say, among the many actions that we can take to slow down global warming, one of the quickest, most affordable and relatively easiest actions we can take is to end deforestation, because deforestation is like the low-hanging fruit in the battle against climate change, and we've got to pick that fruit.
Well, it also takes there's a combination as well here, Patty. It takes strong companies, for example, Tiffany's here, a premier company of the world, came out and they're part of that Rainforest Alliance saying that they're going to, make some changes in their boxing. And so it's a sort of a corporate kind of a thing as well as a personal kind of thing to examine our buying patterns, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because why are people shopping down the forest? Well, quite understandably, those who live there need to make a living, and at the moment, the way the markets work is that we're forcing them to realise that the trees are worth more dead than alive, and we need to change that economic dynamic. And because of our demand in the developed world for timber, for palm oil, for the beef that comes from the cattle that's grazed on deforested land, from the soya that's grown on deforested land, our demand is driving deforestation. So we've got to find a way to kind of change our habits to reduce that demand, and at the same time develop more sustainable ways that the people who live in the rainforest can make an economic livelihood out of it without chopping the trees down.
After interviewing a lot of lumber companies, basically in most cases, those companies are planting 10 to 1 or more than that even. For any tree that they cut down, they're putting in more trees, right? So there's at least some consideration of what's going on, right?
There is some good work done in that area. You're absolutely right, but sadly it's still not enough. And of course, crucially, the real problem is that when the trees are felled, usually it's not actually so much about using the timber; it's about using the land for other purposes. So the trees are simply burned, and it's that burning of the trees that's releasing the carbon. The destruction of the forest is releasing the carbon, and in doing so, that's causing global warming. So even if you're planting new trees, it will take decades, if not longer, for those trees to catch up with the previous trees in their ability to store carbon. So there's this terrible double whammy. When you destroy the trees, you're not only releasing all the carbon that's stored, you're then removing from the planet that storage facility that the trees represented. So, there is a little bit of reforestation going on, but it's not enough. The real problem is the scale of deforestation. To give you an idea, that every 4 seconds, an area the size of a soccer field is destroyed in the rainforest. In 50 years, a third of the world's rainforests have been felled, burned, and we're just, at the rate we're going, there'll be nothing left.
In addition to the tree concern is the medical concern, I would imagine, as well, because we get a tremendous amount of our medicines from the rainforest.
Yeah, a quarter of all modern medicines originate in the rainforest. I mean, it's the most fantastic natural resource. Half of the world's species originate in the rainforest, and there's incredible value in the trees. And if we destroy the rainforest, we are going to be losing absolutely essential medical treatments which derive from the plants themselves. I mean, these plants are part of this very delicate ecosystem that has kept us alive for millennia and for centuries, and we're just needlessly destroying it. And I think that's why it's so urgent. It's to stop the emissions, it's to protect the facility that provides the rainfall, that cools the planet, that provides medicines, that provides a living for 1.6 billion of the world's poorest people depend upon the rainforest for their livelihood. So there's so many reasons why we've got to find a way to end deforestation.
Why do you think the Prince has made this such a principal issue? He's a busy guy doing a lot of things.
It's a good question. Well, he's always been caring about the environment, but I think he just feels in the last 2 years he's felt that this is the one thing that he might be able to use his influence, his position, his contacts, his ability to get publicity and to bring people together. He can use that position, the position he's really just been born into, not one that he's earned, but he feels that the power of privilege, in a way, can be put to good use. And that's what so for him, he feels that ending deforestation is about the single most urgent thing that he can contribute to. Because he always says this: if we don't do anything now, if we don't take the action now, how are we going to face the future generations who turn around and say to us in our old age, why didn't you do something when you knew so it was all going so badly wrong? So he feels compelled to do something now, use his position as a royal prince to try and make a difference.
What an honorable way for you to speak about the prince, and obviously that's who the man is. Very humbling. Thank you, Paddy, for sharing this important good news. Last question: what's good news for Paddy Haverson?
good news is as many people as possible getting on rainforestsos.org and joining our campaign to end deforestation.
Okay, thank you so much, Paddy. Pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you for having me, Paul. Take care.
Take care.